Welcome everyone on Cuffaro. I'm here at ASR 2010. I'm here with PT here in Townsend. PT, I grew up watching the Red Surf. I grew up with you and Bill McDonald talking.
Bill McDonald.
Bill McDonald talking about surfing. How does that happen? I mean, first world title winner, and then you're announcing surf contest. I mean, is that what you do when you've done it all?
Well, it's kind of funny because you probably saw Bill Walton walking around in here, and I'm walking around with him because we're from the same era. And he's the same thing. He was what, great basketball player, won world championships, won NCAA, and he did the same thing. He went into broadcasting, right? And if you've got the gift of the gab, which I can talk, you get into those situations. And what happened with me, I actually was doing a show called Wave Watch, which was a public access TV show. And I did 100 episodes of that show when nothing was on TV. And that's how I got on, it was Prime Ticket in those days.
I remember.
Right, which became Fox Sports Net. And I worked with a couple of great guys. The first one was Mike Chamberlain, who was the sports guy for Channel 13. And he really got me up to being a real broadcaster. And then of course I then worked with Bill McDonald, who's still on TV big time today.
Yes. Now, just like Bill Walton, does that give you an edge? You've already been there, you've already done that. So when gives you the ability to talk about it better?
Well, you're doing this stuff on camera, and the more you do it, the better you get. It's not, you know, if you go back and look at some of my early Wave Watch tapes, you just laugh, you know. And what Mike Chamberlain told me a really important thing. He said, when you stop thinking the camera's looking at you, then you do way better. And when you think the camera's looking at you, you stumble, you make mistakes, you screw it up. So you just don't think there's anything there. Just do it.
I 100% know what you mean. The brain is a roadblock.
Right.
Get rid of the brain, freestyle, have fun, talk about what you know. You know surfing more than many, many people.
So that part was easy. And you know, I'm still, I don't do much TV because there's not much TV surfing going on. But the webcasting area, and you know, I do a lot of guest webcasting. I'm not one of the key guys. But for certain events like the Santa Cruz, just the one that just happened, O'Neill Coldwater, and then special events, the Hurley US Open, they'll call me up in the booth. And it comes easy because, you know, when you've been in the sport as long as I have, I'm a student of the sport, and you just got to say it because you know it.
Well, I'm going to one-up that and say that you aren't just a student, you're a leader of the sport. From back in the days, busting down the doors, even now, you've led the charge. But you really started the whole professional surfing, busting down the doors. I mean, you guys came out soon. You took an industry of surfing, pot smoking people into a...
Macaulay's.
Exactly, Macaulay's. You brought it into a real sport.
Well, you know, Sean did a great job with the Busting Down the Door film, and it's pretty funny because we're more famous now than we were then because of that film, because that film won lots of awards, it was highly acclaimed, and it just talked about a time when not only was the sport coming together, but the brands were just starting to come together. I mean, Quicksilver was just a little brand, you know, and now it's our biggest brand, you know, $2 billion company.
Publicly traded.
Right, and so, you know, Busting Down the Door really brought that to the forefront, that, you know, what went on in the 70s. And like I say, you know, I'm more famous now for being PT in his pink boards and shorts than I ever was back then.
Classic. Speaking of that, you saw the birth of a lot of those companies. What's next? I mean, we're at ASR here. I mean, things are crazier. What's next for companies?
Well, it's just like, it cycles. I mean, you got to understand that we've had first generation, you know, which was the surfboard brands of, you know, the 60s, like the Hobies and people like that, O'Neill, people that began, the bands that are 50 years old, Body Love. And then there was the second generation, which was OP, and you know, along came Quicksilver from Australia, and then Billabong and Rip Curl, and then here, the next real big brands that happened were the third generation, and that was Volcom, that actually came out of the last recession, you know, in the early 90s. And now there's another recession, so usually we'll see a new cycle, and you know, there's new brands on the floor, you know, whether it's Quinn or Ambition or Rhythm, and which one of those is going to make it to Wall Street? See?
Yeah.
And they're not all going to make it, but one of them will.
What do you think about Volk? I mean, it's raced to one of the top companies. I mean, from the Quicksilver O'Neills to Volcom, just a fire lit under its butt.
But it didn't happen overnight. It would have got about 92. I mean, you're talking about nearly 20 years ago now.
But don't you, I mean, do you think? I think that's fast.
Yeah. But look at Hurley. Hurley was been 10 years.
Oh wow.
But granted, they had money.
They had money.
Money makes stuff happen.
And it had someone who'd been there before and knew how the industry worked.
Yeah.
It's an amazing industry. I don't know about you, but I love the service.
And out of ASR and Class, there'll be new ones. Crossroads, across the street from the skate. There'll be a new Element. There'll be a new Volcom. I mean, it happens, and we'll be in what I would call fourth generation. We'll be in the fourth generation of action sports brands.
Well, what's next for PT?
Well, what's next for me is I'm in a new decade, and I want to try and make it to the end of another one. But in this new decade, I'm going to be a grandfather in about 4 weeks for the first time with my son Tosh, the skater. So that's a big thing for Grandpa PT.
Awesome. Well, once again, PT, I'm Pete Cuffaro. Thanks for checking us out.